Today we're going to convert decimals into fractions. What's the difference between a decimal and a fraction? Not much. In fact, decimals are fractions. Here is a place value chart. We've got your tens place, your ones place, your tenths place, your hundredths place, and your thousandth place. The decimal point goes here, in between the ones place and the tenths place. Notice that every time you move to the right in the place value chart, you're actually dividing by 10. So 10 ones make a 10. 10 tenths make one whole. 10 hundredths make a tenth. And 10 thousandths make a hundredth. So now that we know that, we can look at a decimal, put it on the place value chart, and figure out what fraction it is, because it's always 1/10 of the next place on the left. So let's try 0.5. We're going to put that right here because we know that the decimal point goes there. And 0.5 is really the same thing as 5/10 of a whole. Okay? So we're going to just write that. 0.5 equals 5/10. And that's the fraction. And when we know that we can simplify that, we can divide the numerator and the denominator by 5. So let's go ahead and simplify that. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. And our new fraction, which is equivalent to 0.5, is 1/2. 0.5 is half of a whole. Okay, let's try the next decimal. We got 0.2. So again, I know my decimal point goes right here, so I put the 2 right next to it, and that happens to be in the tenths place. So again, 0.2 equals 2/10. 2/10. But guess what? I can simplify that. I can divide my numerator and my denominator by 2. And 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. So my new fraction, which is equivalent to 0.2, is 1/5. 0.2 is 1/5 of a whole. Let's try the next one. 0.05. Now this time, I've got to put a 0 after the decimal place. And then I'm going to put my 5, not in the tenths place, but in the hundredths place. So how would I say this as a mathematician? 0.05. It's not 5/10. No, it's 5/100ths. So when I write my fraction, I'm going to write 5/100ths. That's my fraction. But I know as a mathematician, I can simplify that. I can divide the numerator and the denominator by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. So my new fraction, which is equivalent to 0.05, is 1/20th. 0.05 times 20 makes a whole. It's 1/20th of a whole. Let's try the next one. Ooh, 0.44. So I've got my decimal point here, my 4, and my 4. Okay, so 0.44, that actually is 44, not 44/10, 44/100ths. That's right. So when I write my fraction for 0.44, I'm going to say that it's 44/100ths. Now if you look carefully at this, you can simplify that. You can divide 44 and 100 by, let's try 4. See what happens. Oops, 4 on one side, 4 on the other. 44 divided by 4 is 11, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So my new fraction, which is equivalent to 0.44, is 11/25. And finally, the last one, the challenge, is this one, 0.125. So let's write it in our place value chart here. Got my decimal point, and then I'm going to put a 1 there, a 2 there, and a 5 there. And that's the first time we're putting a digit in the thousands place. But if we follow the pattern that we've used before, I see the number 125. and then I look up and I see that it's 125 thousandths. So I'm going to write that. 0.125 is equivalent to 125 thousandths. Question is, can I simplify that? Can I make the fraction look a little smaller in the numerator and denominator? And the answer is yes, I can. I believe I can divide both of those by 25. 25 on the top and 25 on the bottom. 125 divided by 25 equals 5. 1,000 divided by 25 equals 40. Oh, look at this. This isn't simplified. I've got to get this to simplest form. I can divide 5 and 40 by 5 again. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 40 divided by 5 equals 8. Even the teacher makes a mistake sometimes, so I actually had to simplify twice. But in the end, I realized that 0.125 is equivalent to 1/8. And essentially what we're saying is, if you multiply 0.125 times 8, you'll get a whole. It's pretty cool. So I hope that helps you figure out how to convert decimals to fractions.